Ladies and gentlemen, tonight it's really a big pleasure. I would say the biggest pleasure that I have in my experience as a CX goalkeeper on my podcast. I have Ryo Zsun from Zappos. Zappos is the company when you are speaking about customer experience. Hi, Ryo, how are you?
Hi, from Vegas. I'm doing fine. Thank you, Gregorio, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a great pleasure also from my side to have you on my podcast. And I am 100% sure you will spread happiness to my audience tonight. But let's really start, because if I have you, every single moment that I am speaking, I am taking away time from your time, speak time. And therefore, let's start asking some questions that you can introduce yourself, and then we can speak about Zappos. And the first question is, could you please introduce yourself?
So I'm a local island boy from Hawaii, and I've spent the past several years in the hospitality or customer service industry. In fact, I worked mainly in the coffee industry, working with some very famous, well-known coffee companies. And I'm from Hawaii because we are the only US state that grows the most smoothest coffee in the world. And so I've always stayed in that realm because I always love the idea of creating experiences that make people happy. And I think that's why I've always stayed in that industry. So that's pretty much me in a little nutshell. Oh, and I like to play music sometimes too. So
that's very nice. Which instrument?
I play ukulele and piano as well.
Oh, that's very nice. In the office or at home?
Both, actually. So we have a Zappos choir here at Zappos. So there have been times when I jumped on the piano to play music for someone performing. And sometimes a very random with my ukulele, I'll just play it in the lobby just for funsies, really.
No, that's very nice, because I saw one really nice video with Zappos employees playing all together music, and therefore I asked, because I think it's very nice that you can align what you're doing also at home in the office. But this is the culture of Zappos. Before we start speaking about Zappos, perhaps Ryo, could you share with us which are the values that drive you in life?
So I was very fortunate to grow up in Hawaii, and we have something called the Aloha spirit. And that's something that's very ingrained in a lot of folks who live in Hawaii. And it's just truly love encompasses the word aloha. Doing good to others, it encompasses that. And it was the kind of lifestyle that we had. If we do anything with anybody, we want to make sure that we do it with our heart and it's meaningful. And because of that background, and I like to say my grandmother raised me right, that I carried that legacy through my life through moving forward. And so I think that played a lot into why I chose the world of work that I've been doing in my careers over the past 25 plus years.
And I think if you are happy, then you are positively motivated and you can positively influence your customers. And I think we are already going into the discussion, and that you share with us something about Zappos. And the first question is, why are you working for Zappos? Why did you decide to work for Zappos?
If I was to sum it all up, it's definitely the people here. The people here are very genuine, they're authentic. And I have that sense when you work in that type of environment, all the happiness and the fun, that's real. And it's also contagious. And I love that I could be myself in this working environment. When I first came to Zappos, I never even heard of the company. You know, I had just left the company after 10 years being with them, and I was looking for a new career. And I kept researching this position at Zappos, and I got hired as a barista. But prior to my actual hire date, they asked me if I would come and take a tour and do an on-site interview. Can I describe that? Because it's about the experience here, and that's what Zappos strives to do, is to create a wow experience regardless of who you are, business partner, vendor, or maybe a shopper or even employees. So I arrive at the campus, and there are two Zapponians at the front door of the lobby handing out snow cones. And I'm thinking, oh, what is that? So they asked me if I wanted one. I said, sure. So they give me a snow cone. I walk in, I check in at the front desk, and I'm waiting for a person to come take me around the campus to show me around. There was this big iPad table in the middle of the lobby. And so I ended up playing Angry Birds for the longest time. And I noticed all these cut ties on the wall. It was just bizarre. It was fun, but cool at the same time and weird. Now I'm walking around with the recruiter and she's talking about all these different things. I think there was a parade that happened. People were dressed in costumes or whatnot. I just remember it was just a fun day interacting, having my interviews and all the silly questions that were asked during my interview, etc. And then I remember being in my apartment, standing there just silent, because I just saw a whole bunch of things. And I'm thinking, what the hell is this place? And whatever it is, I want to be a part of it. And I've been here now, August will be 10 years that I've been with Zappos. So it's definitely the people. They make it a fun and engaging place that I want to go and be a part of. And I think that says a lot, because a lot of companies may not have people who are inspired to want to go to work on the daily. Here I get to have that.
You are sharing already great nuggets and highlights of what's the culture of Zappos. And I think you are speaking about people. You mentioned this topic several times about motivation and so on. And I think this is really key, and it's the game changer nowadays. But what motivates you and or your colleagues, the Zapponians, to wow customer every day?
So a lot of it is making sure we have the right people for our company, and our purpose is to live and deliver wow. So we want to make sure that people who are wanting to be part of Zappos, that their own personal values align with our organizational goal, which is to always create wow. And what I love about that is when I've come to work and maybe I'm not feeling 100% in that wow electric vibe, I get energized by my coworkers. It's just contagious, and it just truly resonates throughout the teams and throughout everyone in the organization. And I think that's what we all want to do, whether it's just a coworker wowing each other, or maybe it's someone that we're talking to on the phone, or maybe it's a business partner. How can we make a little wow in their day? That's always on top of mind for us. And I think that's awesome that because you're surrounded by other like-minded individuals, it just perpetuates itself.
And it's the reality. I am feeling this positivity. Also, I'm discussing with you since 20 minutes, something like that. And I am feeling that it's incredible for me. I am getting the energy from you, and this is something new for me, and it's really outstanding. Perhaps, do you have an example of how you wow customers?
Well, for customers, to me, that could be my coworkers, that could be people on the phone. But let me just share internal stories. There are some things that, you know, I'm so random. I just do things because I feel like it should be done, that kind of thing. So we're talking about my ukulele, and I actually send out an email in the mornings before I start my regular day to people who have birthdays or anniversaries, work anniversaries at Zappos, just to put a little cheer in their day. And I was a tour guide for the last 6 years here at Zappos when we gave tours pre-pandemic. And sometimes I would be in an area where I see a birthday person in there. So I'd whisper to my tour guests, I said, this is my coworker, so-and-so, it's their birthday today. Can we sing happy birthday? You know, so again, there's just random moments. I find opportunities that just come, and we ended up singing as a group to my coworker. But, you know, there's so many ways. Sometimes it's just a compliment. With customers, I always love to build what we call personal emotional connections with our customers. And it's just really actively listening to the customer and finding ways to create a connection that's authentic and genuine. One of the ways that I always like to do it is oftentimes, because I lived a lot of different areas growing up across the US. So when I validate someone's account, they're giving me their address, and I hear that they're mentioning a town or city that I've been to, boom, that's a great connection for me. Oh, you're calling from Washington, D.C. I used to live in Washington. They're like, no way. I said, yeah. I said, do people still ask for me? So I make it a funny situation, but it's a great way that we could start the conversation with a commonality and connection. And that truly lets the customer know that this person's listening to me and this person's connected. You know, we're showing that we really care for our customers. And I love that ability that we have to create the wow sense for anyone who calls in to Zappos. And again, with our coworkers as well.
It's totally makes sense, and it's really outstanding listening to you and getting insights like really actively listening to discussion, being proactive and thinking, how can I empathize with others? Perhaps, I don't know if it's your view or Zappos view. For me, it's important to discuss this topic. How do you define service excellence? What for you make the difference in serving customer?
You know, it's a wonderful thing when you can leave a little bit of joy and a memorable experience with someone that allows them to be like, wow, I can't believe they did this for me, or he did this for me. It can happen in everyday life just by simply smiling at someone else. That can bring a smile to someone else's face and brighten their day, or a simple compliment. And even with customer service here at Zappos with our customers, how can I go above and beyond what this customer expects and create that memorable experience? And that's what I love about it. There's so many stories that I can think of in the past that because it works both ways. It's not just the customer, because that magic of creating a really great moment that they're going to remember happens because I made that happen, and inside I feel joy too. And if you think about it, that's magic. It actually perpetuates itself. You always hear pay it forward. This is a natural way of doing it. Just by doing something slight, it can mean mountains to others. And I think that's really wonderful that we can do that. Can I share a story with a customer that I had?
May I say you should?
Sorry, because it just popped in my head. And this is one of my favorite stories to share. And mind you, I've never done call center work before, but I've always interacted with real people in the cafe environment. And so I'm introducing myself. Thank you for calling Zappos. My name is Ryo. How can I help you? And this customer calls in and she says she needs a return label to return a pair of boots. We have a great exchange program, and I wanted to surprise her with that. So I was asking her questions to gain why she would wanted to return these boots. Did it not fit? She said it was a gift for somebody. And I said, did they not like the color? Did they not like the style? She tells me that the boots were a gift for her father, and her father had just passed away the weekend before. You know, I was thinking to myself, this customer has 1,000,001 things to think about. And she's so concerned on trying to return a pair of boots. I said, ma'am, can you just regift them or maybe donate them to charity? Because we understand loss. And I was feeling so much for this customer. And then she started engaging me and telling me stories about how wonderful her dad was and her brothers and sisters having to fly in. It was a really good conversation. When we disconnected finally, I made arrangements for flowers to be sent to her for condolences. We're not required to send anything to our customers, but in my heart, I felt like this was something that she could possibly need. And so I sent those. And can I tell you the beautiful part when I say it perpetuates itself? When you do a nice act of kindness or just even listening to the customer, she sent me a card 2 weeks later, and I still have it in a shoebox in my desk. And not only is she thanking me in the card for the flowers, but she sent me a picture of her father. That's the power when you build those personal emotional connections. And that's what I love, the beauty of what we do here. But you can do that in regular day life too. It's just interacting with people. Just that one little thing can mean a world of difference to somebody else.
What you are saying, it's really important. And only to repeat what you said, it's not something that you should do only when you are working or when people are working, but we can do that also in our daily lives. And it's really extremely important. Perhaps we have another story that you would like to share.
Oh yeah, so I have many. So I don't know how long our phone call is going to be, but one of the other ones that just popped in my mind. Sometimes we may have a situation where we're out of the product. And I remember a customer called in. She wanted this particular size, color, type of shoe. And she asked me if we would have it back in stock because the one she needs is out of stock. So I said, well, let me look. So I'm looking in the back end, couldn't find it. So I told her, I'm sorry, it looks like we are out of stock. And now she's telling me, oh my gosh, let me tell you, I'm going to this event. I really need this. It matches my outfit. And while she's telling me all these fine details of how important the shoe is, that's the power of shoes, folks. I just want to say, I had opened up a couple other tabs on my browser and I found it on another website. So I said, ma'am, I think I found your shoe, but let me confirm that they have it in stock. And it was for the same price. So double plus good. So I put her on hold and I called their call center And I said, can you verify if you have this product? And they're like, yes, we do. I said, awesome. I have a customer on the other line. I told them I was calling from Zappos, and I would love to transfer her to you so she could purchase it off your website. The representative couldn't believe I was going to do that. So I go back to the customer. I tell her the same thing. She goes, wait a minute. What's in it for you? You don't get the sale. I said, ma'am, my job is customer service. I'm here to get you what you need. And that's the power of that no matter what they ask for, we're going to go above and beyond. Of course, we're going to help you. And we'll try to, another funny one is this lady called from New Jersey, I believe. And she was in a hurry. I could tell by how rushed she sounded. She goes, I just need you to look up a phone number for me for this restaurant in Miami. I said, what is the name of the restaurant? So I'm looking it up, and she's telling me in the meantime that she is going to be meeting up with some friends in that city in the next week, and she wants to make a reservation to be guaranteed a table because this place oftentimes it's hard to get a reservation. So I said, well, let me do you a favor. So I actually placed her on hold, and I called the restaurant myself and made the reservation for her, so she would be guaranteed a table. But these are really good examples of, it may not always apply to who we are as e-commerce, but it is applied to our purpose, and that is customer service. And I love hearing the joy on the other end of it. I have one other funny story that just popped in. So when we engage with customers, I'll tell you, when you build that connection, customers sometimes just want to share a lot of things. And I remember this caller from New York, and she just wanted to do a simple exchange, I believe it was. And so she's asking me questions, where you're calling from. In Vegas. She goes, I've been to Vegas several times. I love it there. I'm from Manhattan. And then she started telling me her life story, how she grew up in New York, all the things that she did, how she was dating this person that would take her to all these fancy restaurants, the whole social life. She was a very busy person, and I just love the stories, very engaging. Now, mind you, this was a very lengthy phone call. It was close to 5 hours. And I realized that I had to use the restroom. So core value number 6 is be open and honest. So I said, ma'am, I really have to use the toilet. She goes, well, put me on hold. I'll wait. I'm like, well, that's so kind of you. Thank you. So I ended up coming back, and it was funny because during that time, I had a coworker who sat next to me to make sure that I had bottled water, any snacks or whatnot, because she knew this was going to be a lengthy call. But I mean, it's just one of those things when we don't want to push the customer off to move on to the next call, we'll actually let the customer decide to disconnect. And I love that ability that we get to. People call us for directions. I had someone who was lost and needed an address, so I looked it up and gave it to them, but I also gave them the phone number. And one of my other favorite ones is, so this person calls in and I did my greeting, and how can I help you? He said, I need help with my homework. So I said, well, I'm not a rocket scientist, but I have the Google, so I open up Google and I said, what can I help you with? Turns out he was reading about Zappos and studying us. He's in business class. And so he said he wanted to ask questions about our culture. I said, yeah, ask me anything. I work here. I can tell you what I know. And so I answered a few questions, and I can hear giggling in the background. So I was puzzled by that because I thought it was just him. I said, so are you in a study group? Is that the other voices I hear? He goes, you're actually on speaker in my classroom talking to the rest of my students. So, not always is it Zappos related. Again, we'll do what we can to make it above and beyond for the customer.
That's really outstanding. And one question that came now to my mind is, why people, your customer, call you for such requests? It's because you are so well known already in the USA, or how can you, because if I get lost, then I call my wife or I call the police and so on. Why calling Zappos?
I think over time, our customers have always shared that story that, hey, call Zappos, they'll look it up for you, they'll help you. And we've had that over the years. And I think that kind of actually is a good thing, because it is in alignment with our purpose to live and deliver well. And it's beyond just customer service for those who are shopping, but it's also to be able to provide service for those who really need something special. I remember another customer asking, she doesn't like to online shop. Not everybody's comfortable with shopping through e-commerce. So she wanted to buy a specific brand of shoes, but she wanted to know what stores around her area sells those shoes. And so I said, well, what's your zip code? And we ended up looking up. So I mentioned a lot of different shoe companies around her that she can go to. And she was very patient, and I gave her the addresses and stuff like that. But to me, that's just another positive result of, yes, we're going above and beyond what the customer expects. And she just simply wanted to know where she could find shoes in her area so she doesn't have to shop online.
That's really interesting. And the direct next question is, you are saying we are going above and beyond, but you want always to get better and better. Is it possible to go to the next level? Is there any next level? What are you thinking about this?
Yeah, so I think there's always ways to find opportunities. How can I take this to the next level? How can I, and if you think about it, not only customer service, but you think about it in everyday things in your life, like how can I improve on this recipe? Can I make it better? Or how can I improve on this, the way I built this? Can I make this a little bit better, et cetera? And we look at different ways, and feedback comes from every angle, and it's so important to us to always better our customer experience and user experience too. Like I said, it works both ways. How can we make this experience a better interface for our people in the call center, so it makes their work a lot easier, that type of thing. So, and this is what I love about customer service, that we're always constantly evolving, trying to make better processes, and by listening to each other and finding those areas of inspiration where we could take it to the next level, I think that will always be a thing that we do here at Zappos. Because if we don't, then we're just going to maintain a complacency, and we're not going to get better, and we're probably not going to create the best experiences all the time. So I hope that answers that question.
You completely answered that question. And taking the example of my background, it's soccer. I think if you won already the soccer world championship, you can win the next one. And therefore you need to continue training, and you need to get better and better, because your competitors knows what you're doing. They can try to copy that, they can try to adjust their strategy, and therefore you need to continue to evolve, even if you are already the best. and
that's very, very true. And I think organizations today, they want to always be able to be the best at what they do, and constantly looking for ways. And I think a lot of times, if we listen to all the different ways that we can get those ideas from our employees, hey, it would be great if we could make this process this way, make it easier for the customer, faster transactions, and for customers to share, hey, I'm not comfortable with how this is formed, and we'll listen to those things, and that helps us build better products and services, I think, and for any organization, honestly.
Yeah, totally makes sense. And now we make a jump of 10 years in the future. What do you foresee in the future of customer service?
What I hope that will happen, I don't want to claim that I can predict the future, that kind of thing, but we are in the digital world, and I still think that the missing element is, how do we take the digital experience and still humanize it to create a better customer experience? And if we could bridge that and make it cohesive, I think customer service will be phenomenal in the upcoming years. And I think that we're just starting the conversations now to figure out, how can we take the digital platform and how can we make it a humanistic experience. I think there's a gray area where they're not meeting yet, and I hope to think that that'll get better over time. So that's my thoughts on it.
It's very nice, because you are confirming what normal people are saying. You one of the best company, its experiences are human. The technology is the mean to support that, but at the end you spoke about humanizing these experiences with this technology, and it totally makes sense. I can only say thank you very much. We are coming to the end of this, let's say, friendship game, because I hope it's a friendship game. and to conclude the discussion in the last few minutes, we are back to you, and we would like to learn a bit more about you, Ryo. Do you have a book suggestion that you would like to share with us, and that's a book that helped you during your career or during your life?
There's one that I really recommend to a lot of people. If they haven't heard about it, hopefully you'll hear about it for the first time. But there's a gentleman named Simon Sinek who wrote a book called Start With Why. And I can tell you how that book, and I've read it maybe a few times, and it just really changed the way I think about things, adding purpose to the things that I do and the intentions behind it, because I like to think I do things with good intentions. I think that's truly a good book to start if you've not read it already. It looks like you've heard about it.
Sure, it's one of the best book, because this is really giving some basics to the people to understand that. And what I really like from Simon Sinek, it's also how is sharing this idea. And again, back to soccer, it's not about winning one game, because we are playing the long-term game, and perhaps as in the family, I don't want to win. I want to create value for every member of the family. I am explaining with my words, and therefore it's not always to win and to beat the others, but it's let's try to create something together to play the long game. And therefore I extremely enjoyed reading this book, and also making my my links to soccer, what's going well, what we can learn from soccer, but also what perhaps could be improved.
I love what you said there. It's just the whole journey, the whole length of it, not just the short game of it, the long term. You know, what is it going to be moving towards the horizon? And we don't. I hope that a lot of companies see that. That what are we going to be 10 to 15 years from now, or in 30 years from now? Are we going to be 1,000-year-old company? Because I know here at Zappos, that's what we want to strive for.
No, and it totally makes sense. And therefore, I mentioned also earlier, it's a friendship game, because I don't want to win, because if I win, you lose. And perhaps then you are not happy. And the next time that we meet, you are not so happy because I won and you lost. And therefore, it's totally makes sense. If somebody would like to contact you, what's the best way?
They are always welcome to find me on LinkedIn. I check in every other day, that type of thing. And if they want to continue conversations with me, they'd be more than happy to reach out. I'm pretty boring in real life, so my social channels are all at Island Gecko, but all I post are all food related things, travel, or anything with Mariah Carey, because I'm a big fan, that kind of thing. So LinkedIn would probably be your best bet.
Oh, that's great. And you mentioned that you like food, and therefore you mentioned also in the pre-discussion that you would like to come to Zurich. When you come to Zurich, then I know what I can do. You are invited for a lunch or for a dinner together with me, or with my family.
I'd be so down to do that. Yes. In fact, whenever I travel to other places, I'm the first one to look at what restaurants and what food can I find that's local. So yes, so we'll stay connected, you and I.
Sure, more than happy to do that. And now we are really coming to the last question, to the last part of this game. It's Ryo Golden Nugget. It's something that we discussed, or something new that you would like to leave to the audience.
Good question. So majority of our conversation has been focused on experiences, great customer experiences. And I think if you could put one thought in your mind every day, if I had to give you a thought to put in your mind, ask yourself, how will I wow today? And that could be anywhere. You could be out in public, maybe grocery shopping, and maybe you say something kind to someone else or whatnot, or maybe it is at work, maybe a fellow coworker, or maybe it's a business partner, a vendor that you work with. What can you do to add a little, to brighten up someone's day, or add a little smile on someone else's faces? Because it is rewarding, and you're going to feel good inside, I promise you.
And if I smile, you smile, and the other way the same. The only thing that I can say is you spread a lot of happiness, a lot of wow moments also in this discussion. For me, it was really a big pleasure to have you on my podcast, Ryo. Thank you very much for accepting my invitation. It was really a great pleasure. Thank you very much.
It was such an honor, and I wish you continued success. And I love that you're doing these podcasts. I think that you are also inspiring others by sharing these conversations. So keep doing that.
Thank you very much. And also to the audience, I hope that you enjoyed this discussion as much as I did. We can learn, we are learning a lot from Zappos, and therefore I had the great opportunity to have somebody from Zappos on my podcast. In particular, Ryo, it was really an outstanding discussion. Thank you very much. It was a great pleasure. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
You
Arrivederci.
too. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share the word of mouth. Subscribe it, share it. Until the next episode, please don't forget, we are not in a B2B or B2C business, we are in a human-to-human environment. Thank you!